Welcome to the Right Brain Loves Left podcast, where we dive deep into the dynamic world of small business success. I'm your host, Regina Garay, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Right Brain Loves Left podcast. I am very happy to introduce you to our next guest. Her name is Amanda Miller. She is a senior self-publishing consultant at My Word Publishing. You can find it at mywordpublishing.com. Amanda and I met, just to let you know, Amanda and I met last year. We were part of the same virtual networking group. And when I had the idea that I wanted to write a book, I had seen Amanda in different groups, in different chapters, and I was like, she's the one I want to talk to. So I reached out to her and we had a phenomenal chat. Amanda, you gave me great resources. And when I put my book together, I know Amanda's the one that I'm going to go work with. So Amanda, all of that at the beginning, welcome.
Thank you so much, Regina. And that was such a great way for us to just like start to engage. And what was unique about your situation too is that the book, and correct me if I'm wrong, but hadn't been written yet, right? So you needed the tools and who could support you. And I want to start with that because a lot of people have an idea to write a book, but just don't know, okay, now what, and I even realized, so I'm working on something as well. And I realized I even had to learn, don't forget, you have people by your side and writing coaches, right, to coach you through the writing of the book, which is a very tough part, right? We get into our heads and self-critic and it's like, okay, what's the outline of the book? I'm not sure. I just have these ideas. So there's so many resources out there that I would love to just like share with people. And I was so glad I got to share those with you in at least some capacity, right? To get connected with the writing coach to at least start the journey.
Isn't that the truth? Because, you might have this tremendous idea, but, sometimes some of us just kind of like putter along and try to get our own help. And, it's just easier to work with somebody that can actually guide you through.
Yeah.
So I want to go back. I want to hear about your journey, but I also want the audience to understand about My Word Publishing because it is a self-publishing company. Can you tell me how that differs from a traditional publishing house?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit how I got started. So back in 2018, I had just graduated from college, and just like most other college students, you're a little unsure of what the heck you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And that's also like, all the pressure we put on ourselves to like, you have to have the right answer of what you're going to do. So long story short, I ended up in this company, just like a communications manager of a small business, right? And that business owner said, hey, I want to publish my book. Can you help me figure out how to do it? And I said, okay. So I started, looking up and researching, well, how do you self-publish a book? And this is most people's journey, right? Who want to self-publish. They're like, all right, well, can I just DIY and do it myself and figure out all the steps? So I totally resonate with the person who wants to do it themselves. And what happened was, as I was going through my research, I stumbled upon a blog by My Word Publishing, which is so funny because then I landed on their website and it had a training program on how to be a publishing consultant. And I always wanted to work in publishing. It's just where I was at the time and what starting salaries were in Manhattan were like $30,000. I was like, how am I going to make a living wage off of that? So jump ship. But luckily, right, I was still in this, surrounding myself in this passion. And so it came back to me. And so I did the training, consulting, we actually call it the self-publishing consulting training program. That's a mouthful.
It is.
And so I did that, and I worked with the owner of My Word Publishing, who told me about her story, right? And how she, for lack of better words, got screwed over by different publishing models out there. So she made her own company, said, hey, I just want to publish a book, keep all of my rights and my royalties. Why is this so hard? So she made a whole process and she built, she just used to just work on her own. And now she's trained different consultants to come into her business and take on more clients so we can help more people. And so here I am at My Word Publishing. And I just counted the other day, I've done over 90 books in the past 4 years. So I'm like, whew, yeah,
Incredible, Amanda.
it's been a
Wow.
little, yeah,
It's like having like children almost. You're like,
really is. Yep. I always say when we get those ISBN numbers, that 13-digit number on the back of the book, I'm like, here's your baby's social security number. You know, same thing.
that's a good way of putting it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So the authors actually get to keep their rights, their royalties, everything when they work with My Word Publishing.
Yes, and that is the biggest difference with self-publishing versus the other publishing models. And don't get me wrong, there is a whole slew of different publishing models and companies in between traditional and self-publishing. But the crux of it, if we were to, just highlight it and get to it, is that self-published authors keep 100% of their rights and their royalties. And the way we do that is that authors are putting their book under their own company name, under their own imprint. So that's step one. And then when we open the Amazon KDP account, the printing account, their own bank account gets linked up there. So royalties get funneled straight to their account. It's not going to My Word Publishing. And so that's the crux of the model.
So they are responsible for not only their own book and creating in the imprint, but also, I'm guessing, the marketing and all that, and building a community around their book, which
Correct.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. It's fantastic because every our listeners are small business owners. So all of us in a microcosm have our own communities that can help rally and support around that book.
Right.
You know,
Yes. And it's very much, I always tell my authors having a book is very much like starting a business. So if they aren't small business owners doing a book, I'm like, you're about to be, so you're making a product, you're going to take an income and you're going to get taxed on it. So, there's a lot of education on that if they're not already small business owners. And it's very similar. So I'm sure your listeners even know it's like you have to have passion for that message that you're sharing and the passion for building that product and the marketing that goes behind it.
Mhm.
We all know how exhausting the marketing of our business is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I kind of tell them from the get-go, strap in. This is about to be a business. And I'll also say though, there are authors who have the big dream, right? And I always ask them, what are your goals with this book? Oh, I want to be a speaker, I want to build it into my business. That's one type of author. And there are authors who they just want to do a legacy book, keep it in the family. We don't have to go crazy with building the business and all this. So there's ways to accommodate different goals.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't even realize, because when you do have different goals, that affects your journey with that book, because personally, for me, I know small business owners use it a lot to get public speaking,
Yeah.
Because it gives you gravitas.
Yes.
I'm saying that correctly, gravitas. So,
Yeah.
what are some misconceptions about self-publishing that, let's say, a small business owner or anybody might have about that model?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that self-publishing is working against right now is the stigma of self-publishing. So in the past 10 years, self-publishing has grown. Mm-hmm. And so it's working against that stigma of less than, the traditionally published book, or can't be as professional, or you won't make enough, or all those type of things that self-publishing, if you go self-publishing, you're not going to be successful, right? That's the stigma behind it. But I mean, I'm so proud of the people we work with. What I've seen is if you create a professionally published book, you hire the professionals to get involved. Mm-hmm. You take all the advice that we're trying to get you so that you can compete with the traditionally published book. The only thing that's in your way of success is yourself. And why I say that is because authors and business owners, right? You need to go into your business with that passion and that tenacity to keep going and staying consistent in the marketing of it. Mm-hmm. You can't just build things and hope people will come. It doesn't work like that in anything in life, right? So that consistency and being on top of it, backing your book, you can completely compete with traditional publishing.
Yeah, because you know, and I almost think of it as small business owners, you can kind of think of it as just we put out products, we put out services. So it's literally just considering it that, you know, and just marketing it as you would anything else. You know, it's having that voice in a written form of your business.
Yeah.
And because a lot of people, I would imagine that the energy expelled at putting that book together, and then you birth it and it launches and you're like,
Yeah.
you know, and now is the second life. It-
Yeah, it's true.
it's the
And I try to coach my authors to take a beat and to honor everything that they have, all that energy that, as you say, has
Mhm.
just been put into this book. And so it's like at the same time they're itching. It's like, but I got to market it. I got to make this book tour. And it's like, I hear you're going to be able to do that. And actually, I think what helps is extending that timeline of your book launch. Yes, we have a date that your book actually goes live and is published, but you're going to be marketing that thing for a year, 2 years,
Mhm.
right? And going. So you don't really have to rush into it. And there are tons of books that get resurrected from being 10 years out. Now that we're in a digital age, you can do ads and ad placement. And so there's a lot of opportunity for resurrecting that book and taking on the marketing at a later date as well.
I agree. I mean, you can, you know, I come from a marketing background. So for me, you know, it's like intrinsic, you know, where you can, if you're at a networking event, you can mention your book, or, you know, you can talk about it while you're doing your public speaking, or you can write a blog post, or you can write social media, you know, include it in your content for different things. So, and it doesn't have to be, here's my book, buy it. You can always just say, you know, I have this book, and in page 5, you know, in chapter 5, I go through a little bit more of this in the book.
Mhm.
I talk about this and everything, you know, if you'd like to know more, please take a look at my book. And that kind of thing. So it's not this, you know, and you can continue doing that for years because it's there for you. Okay. So I had to, sorry, Amanda, I had just went off on a
No,
whole.
I love that because I was gonna just add, I feel and I'm curious what you think of this as, from your marketing perspective, but I always feel like just give willingly. I think sometimes we feel as owners and maybe authors that we have to, protect the thing that, that has a monetary value. Give it away, give it away. You want to give to people. And I think that type of energy that you're giving out, and the more you give to people, there's like, I want to work with that person, show your brilliance. And whether it's with the book or, whatever other product or service you're going to be giving, I think you should give some of it away.
I agree. I agree. And even if, you know, because that book is there to help establish you, you know, as an expert. But it, you know, if you talk about it, you're going to talk about the points inside the book anyway,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly.
So, but also when somebody reads your book, sometimes, you know, many times, if they've picked it, they've already vibed with you. But many times they're like, this is somebody that understands me. I want to work with them further.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And I love the idea too of a gift book or for onboarding clients, and you just throw the book in. So there's
oh,
the
I love
way of
that.
you're building credibility, but also if you just met somebody, give the book away here, maybe that'll help push the sale, or it's you're onboarding somebody. So it's a gratitude gift. Thank you for entrusting with me. Here you go. You'll build more rapport with them. So there's always, ways to utilize that book.
You know, it's so funny you say that because in the book, I'm reading a James Patterson book about librarians and booksellers, and they're giving short stories as to their experiences with people finding books. And one author was, you know, instead of having people buy the book, you know, they just gave the book away at their book signing, and then they read from the book, and it not only did it build that network of the people, because then they sold more books
Yeah.
because of the books they gave, but also a lot of people started following them and reading other books that they picked up or reading programs that they put together. So it was when you say that, I just remembered that yeah, that's a
No.
fantastic idea.
Yeah. And again, every author is like, a fingerprint. They're all unique. So even where they're starting from, right? I have authors who have email databases of thousands and thousands of people from their business. I have people who have absolutely no one to sell to, and we're going to start there, right? So the strategy too, like you're saying, maybe giving it away sometimes, right? It is the
Sometimes,
right
right.
choice. It
If it
depends.
makes
So
sense, financial sense for you.
yeah.
So, in my word publishing, one of the things that I liked when I spoke with you was the fact that, I didn't know that there was different types of editors, and there was people that help you create the book cover, all these things, and that my word publishing actually had recommendations for you. Can you talk a little bit about that, about how you put people together?
Yeah. So here's a good way of thinking about it. My Word Publishing is the management company to bring you through all the steps, answering all your questions. But I'm not a cover designer. I'm not an editor. So we need to bring in those people who are specialized and professional. So with My Word Publishing has been around for 12 years. We've built really great relationships and rapport with professionals in the industry that are great at what they do. They're personable, right? So we have a lot of recommendations. So for instance, if Regina comes to me and she's like, hey, who do I work with as an editor? This is what I'm looking for. And this is maybe my price point, XYZ, right? I'll say, okay, let me look at the Rolodex and see who's in that, in that area and who's good at what they do, who knows that genre, and their price point. So I look at all those different things. And also, I'm considering and weighing up personality types. It's so important to work with people that gel,
Yeah.
So I say I take the matchmaking about 80% of the way, and then the author just has to close the deal for the last 20%, interview those vendors, see if they like them, and then work with the person that they think they're going to best collaborate with.
I love that. I love that. And you also, correct me if I'm wrong, you have a Facebook group for the authors to work
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, so we've just seen, kind of organically the community has come together, and, with a little bit of nursing and putting a Facebook group together, it's really proven to be really helpful for authors, because in this industry, and I think I've been saying this all week to people, it's like this. No, seriously though, this industry is full of scammers. And so, whether it's from the publishing side, the marketing side, there's a lot of guerrilla marketing that goes after authors the second they hit publish, right? It's like, oh my gosh. So where our Facebook community kind of helps them is the authors say, is this a scam, or is this real? Should I invest in this? Is this worth it? So we're all throwing around our ideas. The latest was book pirating. We're all asking each other, how do I save myself from book pirating? And, what do I do? This person took my book. So, and we'll troubleshoot any issues. And of course, we'll keep them up to date with our, classes and events. But yeah, I really love the fact that the authors can just ask each other and bounce ideas off of one another. And I'll also just add, we also do some polls sometime for like cover design. So if somebody's working with a cover designer, like, yeah, what option should I go with? And open it up to the public to weigh in. So that's a fun use case.
I love that, because, we might have a favorite, but if another one is being picked 100%, I mean.
Yes. Oh, that is the funniest thing that I've kind of come to realize, is just everybody has a different style and a different, taste for things. And so, I would ask, friends and family, hey, what do you think of this one? And everybody loves that, but the author likes the other one. I was like, you just never know.
It's true. It's true. I happen to love the covers for fiction books. So, because I've noticed, this is something that I noticed, working with you, that fiction books have a certain type of cover. Nonfiction books have a certain type of cover, and and so I'm always like, I want the fiction book look, so but it might not sell, or it might not appear like it's a nonfiction book. So
that's exactly the most important thing, is you have to make sure at a quick glance, somebody knows, is it children's book? Is it a nonfiction book? Is it fiction? And so there are trends, in cover design that go in and out all the time.
Mhm.
But you see with fiction a lot of illustrative covers. And so sometimes if like an author comes in with their own designer, I'm like, I'm sorry I got to say this to you, but it doesn't fit, the schemes of the genre at this time. So maybe they do have to go and find different stock art and make it more illustrative in nature. And so we
Mhm.
guide and talk to them about how do you know, fit it to the trends of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a different, and I've had this issue where our personal preferences have to almost be put step aside, and it's to what our target audience, what our
Yeah.
readers,
Yeah.
what somebody going through a bookstore or a library or even just Amazon, seeing different things, what would they pick?
Yeah.
It's
And the reality too is if you were traditionally publishing, do you think you would be having that much say into the cover? You do not, Your editors and your cover designers, they're making a lot of decisions based on the ROI they think they're going to get back. So in self-publishing, right, the world's your oyster, but we still want to guide you.
Let's talk about the future a little bit. How do you see self-publishing evolving, especially for somebody like a small business owner in general? It,
Yeah.
you can speak both ways as to authors and small business owners.
Yeah. So in general, I mean, the self-publishing industry is really booming. Lots of authors are now able to publish their books without the gatekeeper. So I don't have any worries right now about my job. But, AI though is a big topic, right? And AI being, authors are using AI in their writing, they're using it in their cover designs. And the thing that I say, if an author really is gun ho about using AI, is I just want to warn you that we don't know what repercussions are going to happen down the line. So when I'm publishing books right now, Amazon is asking people, has any AI been used in the production of this book? And you do have to say yes or no. And so let's just say somebody used AI, checks it off. Yep, I used it. What exactly are they doing with that data? And will that have repercussions down the line? Right. So on the sales pages on Amazon in the storefront, is it going to say produced by AI? And will that, negatively impact your sales? I don't know. So there's just a lot of questions right now with what's going to happen. So personally, my biggest advice towards that is stay away from it, write your own book, or hire a ghostwriter.
That's
But
true. That's true.
yeah,
Because if you're worried about your writing, you can absolutely tell somebody what you're trying to say, but they yeah. So continue.
yeah. And I just don't know what's going to happen like legally with copyrights. And it just gets very fuzzy right now. So we're trying to stay on top of what AI is going to do. There are tons of authors right now who do produce books with AI, low content books, and they're making a bunch of money off that too. So for better or for worse, I'm not here to judge them, but that is a whole market. So that's very interesting.
It is. And I even know somebody who used AI to completely put their book together, and you're right. We have no idea what's coming down the line, what legalities will come together, all that. It's so interesting that you say about the Amazon that it asks you,
Yeah.
and what might it ban all AI books in the future? You never know.
And
So
personally, like, I don't think, I mean, I can't tell. Maybe I'll be replaced. Maybe this will, we'll see. But I really do feel that like the connection that I feel with some of my authors, right? Naturally, I'm in an industry where they're being vulnerable. So I tend to feel like, oh, I can open up to them too. Here's our life stories and, amidst getting our work done together. And so there's something that's just irreplaceable about working with another human being and working with professionals who are bringing their expertise. So um, I think I just think it's a whole nother level of the type of work that you get out of or the type of quality you get out of your book by working with real human beings.
it's true. It's an adaptive, I always think of it, and maybe this is making it a little bit more general, but when cars came out, people were worried about, oh, the horse-drawn carriages, what's going to happen? It's going to ruin everything, and nobody's going to be able to. And we adapted, the same thing when television came on. What's going to happen to radio?
Mhm.
And here we are with, audios and podcasts. And so there's been so many things that have come up, and we adapt and we do, and it's not the meaning of the end, but it's just something. How do we ride that? How do we help that? But there will never be a replacement for the human to human.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think, I'm not worried about AI. I do see the benefits to using it, maybe not in books, because I'm a little biased towards that.
Right.
In our business, heck yeah, helps you write that newsletter or that next blog, and to get your ideas to fruition, because business owners, we have a lot on our plate these days. You got to get to the networking meeting, your newsletter, your clients, the inbox. It's like Google business profile that I saw you have a class on. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So if something and a tool can come in to help us with some of the back end stuff that, is not really going to replace us. I think that's great.
It's funny you say that with the Google business profile, because it reminds me of the human of human, because there was a gentleman who wanted me to teach him how to do the Google business profile. And I said, it's online, Google itself has this tremendous website that had to, he goes, can you just teach me one-on-one? Can you, because I have questions and I don't want to spend, I just want somebody human teaching me, so even when it comes to things like that,
Oh, it's great that you said that, because the owner of My Word Publishing is very adamant about any of our classes, any of our training programs. It's all like, even though it's on Zoom, it's face to face, and we can ask in real time, and we're holding each other accountable to get on. We're going to do this lesson today. It's a totally different capacity. And I'll just say, this is the piece that I find from business owners to authors, the connective tissue is that we all need to be held accountable to our goals, right? We can't just live in a bubble of ourselves. We'll never get it done. So I've definitely outsourced, even from, the beginning of this talk, right? Outsource the help you need and in the areas that you need it, so that you can achieve your goals and get it done.
I know. And you're talking my language, achieving your goals. I love goals. Yes. Love goals. Okay. So tell me about your work at My Word Publishing. What has been the most rewarding aspect of all of this for you?
Yeah, since I've been doing this for 4 years, only in the most recent year, I think I've just come to really feel this. I'm going to get a little sappy in my heart. Is that I'm not selling books, I'm selling dreams. And these are people's dreams and their babies. And once I realized that, is like the whole game changes for me, because it's like, I really just want to make this person happy. I know they're paying me for this service, but it doesn't mean I don't have to act without passion, right? And to help them be on their team. So I think the most rewarding is just being able to see my clients' happiness, their success, and just, so many of them say, I just never thought I could get this done. It was just going to be, a manuscript in my drawer forever. And it's like, no, we have a process. We have a system. Just hang in there and let's get you to the finish line.
I love that, because when I met you, I knew, that your duty of care for that book, that's what translated through, the fact that you were going to be there with me, and care about the book, and that.
Yeah. I take it very seriously. I know how much, as a writer myself, I even find myself, like, now that I'm doing my own thing, I'm like, I need like a duplicate of me to hold me accountable. Luckily, I have a lot of mentors and, great people in this industry, but, I'm not going to take anybody's free time. So yeah, it's very nice to have somebody who truly cares and can be like in the passenger seat with you. It's like, hang on, we got this. Let's go.
Wonderful. I love it. All right. So for anyone who's listening today or watching the podcast, how would they work with you? How do they get a hold? How do they start looking at My Word Publishing as their self-publishing guide?
Yeah. So of course, our website, mywordpublishing.com. My specific email is amanda@mywordpublishing.com. And always happy to connect with you. I always start with free 30-minute consultation calls. And that's where we really dive into your goals and what is your budget and what's your vision. And then again, we don't do packages, so we have to customize and talk to you and build the package around your goals and vision. So that's how we would start together.
Love it. It's a customized program to each individual author.
Yes, yes, because every author has different word counts, visions, needs. So we have to talk about who do you need to get involved and maybe who you don't need to get involved. And so we'll customize that.
Excellent. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for, didn't it go by quickly? I felt like
Yeah.
it was like.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's so
Thank
fun.
you. Oh, it was. And I'd love to have you come back and continue the chat on self-publishing. So thank you again. Everyone, I hope you enjoyed this chat, and head to mywordpublishing.com or email Amanda directly to get started if you're interested in releasing a book for your small business and self-publishing it. So thank you, Amanda.
Thanks.